officer who's a young
Six Nations Show on OTB SPORTS.
In association with Guinness, #Never Settle. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
I'm Valerie Wheeler, and today I'll be joined by Irish rugby legend Rosie Foley. This series is brought to you in association with Guinness. They are a proud partner of the Irish rugby team. Rosie, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Valerie. I'm delighted to be here.
Rosie, it's great to have you. I love the setup behind you. First of all, you've all the gear on show.
Oh, I do. Yeah, temporarily at times. I get to put up some things sometimes, and other times then it can be hit by a ball and come down fairly lively in my house, so it can.
I can imagine. Well, Rosie, it's great to have you on today, and we're really excited about to talk to you more and find out all about your life. But it's been an amazing life with amazing achievements, and growing up in a sports house, Mad, must have been great when you were younger.
Oh, listen, I mean, from when I can remember, and we grew up in Maru in County Limerick, because that's where my mother came from, in a place called Clunkeen. It was absolutely ideal, really, I suppose, because my grandparents lived next door. My mother's parents lived next door, Jane and Michael. And like, we were out in the countryside, and then we'd go into Thomond Park, and I mean, that was our playground between the countryside and Thomond Park, and inside in Shannon Rugby Club on the actual floor inside there, and then out onto the pitch. And to be honest with you, anything that was on the TV at the time, and bear in mind, I think we had 2 channels at the time. So if it was Wimbledon or the GAA or soccer, we were out in our front lawn in Maru, and we were just emulating whatever we saw. And myself and Anthony, there would have been, well, I'd always have said we were Irish twins. You know, I was born the 27th of October and Anthony was born the 30th of October the following year. But my father disputes it and says you can only be Irish twins if you were born within 12 months of one another. So, but we were very close in age. So, like, I always had somebody to play with. I was the older of the two of us. And then my sister arrived along Orla about 4 years later as well. But, like, it was really idyllic. And, I mean, we got to do so many things. I was so lucky where we grew up until I was 7. So it was out in the front lawn. It was doing all the things that you'd normally do. The old tennis rackets would come out, or whatever you'd make a tennis racket out of. Hurling, there'd be a rugby ball fired out then. If Dad was playing a match, we were brought into the match. And actually, it was because Dad was refereeing. It was the, if I can remember correctly, it was the Banks played a kind of a mixed touch rugby, and my dad was asked to referee it. And that is actually the first time I remember actually seeing women with a rugby ball on a pitch doing something. And I'd reckon I was about 6 or 7 at the time. So, I mean, we were exposed to all of that kind of thing. And then with the Mulcair River and all that, so we dabbled in that as well. But I suppose then we were lucky in that my parents bought a pub in Killaloo. So we moved here when I was 7 going on 8. And again, that opened all the water sports. It opened more GAA to us, soccer, the Gaelic football. I played with Mealy. It's just, we were very, very lucky. Went out to the activity centre, the Scout Centre, did windsurfing, did a bit of sailing. I sailed on the Asgard. I just really, really lucky that my parents were the type that encouraged you to just go out and try everything, and, from that point of view, I was really lucky, yeah, so sorry for yapping on, but it's just the memories are great. And on days like today here in Killaloo where the sun is out and it's absolutely beautiful, all those memories come really flooding back, so, I mean, and it doesn't feel so long ago.
Rosie, what is it like having no divide in your household between the men and the women playing sport? Because clearly there was none, and for women can only dream of having that in their household.
You see, this is the thing. I never realised that was an actual thing. And the realisation for me in relation to that there was a difference came, I think, when I was about 12 or 13, and Anthony had started getting more opportunities to play sports and to be on teams and to go to training sessions than I had. And it kind of, I wouldn't say it was a light bulb moment, but it was close enough to it, because my parents had never treated us any differently, and the 2 girls and a boy in our house, and we were encouraged to do it all. And next thing, you couldn't, or I couldn't, and I actually couldn't go and play rugby because women weren't playing rugby in Ireland at that stage. And, it was one of those things where I just thought, well, this isn't right. And sure, listen, we keep trying to do something about it, and we just keep going on. And I suppose a lot of it comes from my parents just really encouraging us all the time and giving us every opportunity that was possible to do everything. Like we played tennis here in Killaloo. We went sailing. We went out and did the windsurfing. But the one thing my parents insisted upon when we moved to Killaloo was that we learned how to swim. Because as you know, Killaloo's on the River Shannon just below Lough Derg. And the summer we came here, we each had to pick something from Jimmy Whelan's store, which was across the road from us when we lived in the pub in the main street in Killaloo. And I picked out a yellow rag doll with yellow hair and a blue dress. And that was my goal, to get her. So I had to learn how to swim. So I taught myself how to swim in the outdoor pool and down in the Pierhead in Killaloo, where Peter Lacey taught loads of people as well. But the encouragement around all of that was always there, that these are life skills. At the time, I didn't realise that that's what it was,
Yeah, no, of course. And look, come here, your dad played such a huge part in you having such an amazing career. And can you tell us about the first day you went down to St. Mary's, maybe?
To the rugby club, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I've often said this, whoever took my father when he was 12 by the hand to St. Mary's Rugby Club in Limerick, I mean, they deserve the biggest pat on the back that I have ever known, because that volunteer, that person, changed the course of my father's life forever, and had such a knock-on effect on the rest of us, because my dad would be a very spirited person anyway, loved sport, loved the soccer. They took him into St. Mary's. He started playing rugby. Obviously, he excelled at rugby, and we just, to be able to run with the ball like that and to actually see that happening on a pitch, it was something that I didn't get to experience until, I think, my early 20s. But I had done everything else in between. But I got to see Anthony play it as well, but yet I couldn't play it. So, sport in Limerick is unique. I mean, it doesn't matter what background you come from, you can excel in sport in Limerick. And we see it time and time again. And I mean, it's just such an exceptional, unique city. And I think it's something that we really, really need to celebrate in a sense and, you know, maybe make more of.
How competitive was the house? It must have been fiercely competitive. You surely have amazing stories about how competitive you were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I do. But I have a memory in my head of, I was lucky enough because in 5th and 6th class, I was as tall and as broad as I am now then. And so Anthony was a scrawny little thing, and my sister would have been 4 years younger, so she was even scrawnier. So sure, I got away with murder. Until I think Anthony was in first year in Munchins, and they'd come home at the weekend, and I don't know what we were doing. I have a feeling it had to do with a rugby ball. And I remember we both went for it, and I came out second best. It wasn't a good feeling. And I think at that time I kind of realized that, there's a bit of a difference happening here. Not really liking, you know, not winning this. But we had that when we played tennis, then we were lucky enough that Woody Keith grew up the road from us. So when we were playing tennis, poor old Noreen Blake, who was here in the tennis club, used to bring us over to Ballina first. And now we've a fabulous setup of tennis here in Killaloo. But Lord above, there was times it was like Scud missiles. It was literally Woody against Anthony, or I'd be with Anthony and Woody'd have a partner. It was absolutely, sometimes it could be carnage, absolute carnage. But what a way to grow up.
What a way to grow up. I heard that he was a bit of a diva when he was younger. You know, he didn't really like to lose either, Rosie.
No. Neither Anthony or Woody liked to lose at anything, you know, and they stayed competitive the whole way through life. They absolutely.
Everyone speaks so highly, I think, of Anthony, and you yourself, you have some obviously amazing memories of a childhood with him, and even in your sporting career, which is something special.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were very, very lucky, I suppose, that when I got the opportunity to play rugby, Anthony was playing at the highest level. We both then got to play in the green jersey in different places. My first international cap, I came off the bench. We were playing Spain in Madrid. My parents were in Italy with Anthony because Ireland were playing Italy on the same day. And sure, like I'm married. I married my husband when I was coming up 23. So we're nearly 26 years married in May. So we married young. But my husband was played hurling with Clare, so like he was back in Ireland. So you know, hurling and training and all that. My parents are in Italy, and I'm in Spain waiting to get on for my first cap. But there was occasions then where the Irish women, we were playing in the same venue, and there's a couple of times like Anthony got his 50th cap against England. And a famous win over there. And we were lucky enough to actually play the English women as the curtain raiser in Twickenham on the same pitch a couple of hours before. And Anthony and the lads all came out onto the side to actually watch some of our match. Unfortunately, things being the way they were, Valerie, there was no tickets for us women to stay and watch the match. So I remember peeking in, watching Anthony running out onto the pitch for his 50th cap in Twickenham as we were shepherded over to Rugby House, which is the RFU headquarters in London, to watch the match that was on the pitch live on the television. But one of the ones I think that really sticks out in my mind is we were playing Scotland after the men were playing in Murrayfield, and our coach at the time, and I know you spoke to him, Goose Philip Doyle, he said to me at some stage, we all have to keep focused. You'll keep focused now. Everybody keeps focused. But we were waiting to go out while the boys were coming in, and Anthony came down along and found me in the line, and said, "Come on now, best of luck. Give them hell." And things like that, Valerie, you know, are unique, and I suppose very, very lucky to have them, you know.
Yeah, no, extremely lucky to have those memories. And I think when you have memories like that, it probably doesn't make things any easier for the day, you know, your lives change forever and you got that news, Rosie. It must have been extremely difficult.
Oh, it was horrendous. But, you know, in one sense, sport, you know, really galvanizes you, and it gives you strength from places that you never thought you had it, because we were in a very public place when we got the news that Anthony had passed and didn't wake up that morning in Paris. We were in Killaloo in what we call the coffee pot, or it's affectionately we call it the French cafe. It's all very ironic, really, when you look back on it. But my mother was with us. Anthony's two boys were with us. My sister was with us when we got the news. So, I mean, because I suppose you become mentally tough through sport and through having to focus on things just like we did when we were playing rugby or anything like that. The priority for me that stage was to actually get my mother out of a public place before it flashed up on Sky News or RTE that I was actually playing in the corner. Because as we all know, social media and the media, it's great in some senses that we have it so instantly, but in a circumstance like that, it would have been absolutely devastating if it had come out like that. So I remember having to, you know, say to my mum, we have to go now, ma'am. And she was saying, what's wrong? And I said, my son at the time was playing a bit of soccer. And I said, I think Oisín got a bang on the head, and, you know, we'll have to check out that he's not concussed or that. And it was a Sunday, so look, we will have to check with Shannon Doc, and, you know, we'll do that now, ma'am. You know, we'll go in that direction and we'll head out there, you know. And we headed out home, and when we got to where my parents live, I told my mother then that Anthony hadn't woken up in Paris, you know. So she immediately then obviously had to ring my father. And then, of course, our other concern was Olive and the boys, because Olive obviously didn't know at that stage. So we had to go about that as well. So very, very difficult, but I would have to say to everybody out there that, like, the support that we have gotten and how good people are in our sporting world and rugby, and all the tributes that have been paid to Anthony and to my family, it's quite amazing. And you can see the resilience in particularly the Irish people since this pandemic started as well. So you couldn't be anything but proud. But I was extremely proud of our community out here in Killaloo and Ballina, as well as the wider rugby community, because, I mean, people are amazing, and, like, we can get things done really when we put our mind to it and cut a lot of the red tape. And I think we've seen that over and over again as well. But we are very grateful for the time we had Anthony as well.
Was Chicago maybe a standout moment, iconic sporting moment for you that maybe has shown the support?
Yeah, you see, there's something bigger than us, Valerie. And, you know, it's when you watch moments like that, because the result in Chicago was the exact opposite of when Anthony, you know, and he played against the All Blacks a few times. There's something really special when people decide to kind of take off the old shackles and really have a go. And to see Anthony's teammates, his friends, the foresight of, we'll say, the management, and to see how they went about their absolute business. I mean, it just goes to show you, yeah, it would have been one of those ones where you actually see it right in front of you. And on my phone, it's actually on the background of my phone. So you're dead right. It did mean an awful lot to us, as well as the Maoris coming to Thomond Park. And when Racing came here, and that, I mean, even Leinster and Connacht, all the lads down from Ulster, Anthony's team that they travelled to New Zealand with in '92 when they toured New Zealand and nearly turned over the likes of Lomo, and that was playing 8 against the schoolboys, and the usual crack occurred. that the match went into injury time, and a guy called Jeff Wilson kicked the penalty to beat our boys. That was in '92. So they all stayed friends. Like, all of those moments and meeting all those people again has been fantastic. But I tell you, the supporters and friends you make through sport is second to nothing.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And Chicago, I think, it would give you goosebumps even thinking about it, Rosie, you know. But you are joined, you are listening to me today. I am joined by Irish legend Rosie Foley. The series is brought to you in association with Guinness. They are proud partners to the Irish rugby team. But Rosie, plenty of fond memories of your brother Axel, but you yourself, your achievements down to the years have absolutely been outrageous. I don't even know if I have time to discuss all of these with you, but you did mention the love of swimming started. You to go out to Killaloo. That rag doll was in your mind. You know, you were getting that rag doll, and that's where the love of swimming started.
Absolutely started. And you know, the campaign that's currently running and is still running, and I mean, I think the last person I heard talking about it was actually Brian O'Driscoll, where you see something and you feel you can be it. I was that girl. I saw Gertrude Elderly on a black and white movie in our sitting room in the pub when I was 12 or 13 years of age. She ended up being the first woman to swim across the English Channel, and I knew that I would do that someday. So again, if you can't see it, you can't be it. It's absolutely massive. So yeah, that started with the swimming. We had to be able to swim. We went on then and we all did our lifeguard qualifications. So we all lifeguarded in the outdoor pool. So myself, Anthony, and my sister all lifeguarded out in the pool, the outdoor pool in Ballina, and I lifeguarded out in 2 Mile Gate. But there was always this thing in Killaloo where we did the Shannon swim, which was from the pier head down to the bridge in Killaloo. I think it's about 500 or 600 metres. That was a rite of passage. Once you did that when you were 12 or 13, there was no coming back from it. You could swim. That was it. You could do it, and if you could win it, was even better. So there was all those things always in your head. That was our competitive swimming, because none of us ever swam competitively, and I only got into competitive swimming with the Limerick Masters 10 years ago. My daughter is 11, so it was after that, and that I really got into swimming. And then it's about pushing the boundaries then and chasing the dream that I wanted, which was to swim the English Channel. And I was lucky enough to be able to mask it, because I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it. I swam down Lough Derg a month previous. I'm sure my lovely brother at the time wanted to know, I suppose, that you have swam down it now. I suppose you'll want to swim back up it, like, you know. Or the other one he had was like, why would you swim across the English Channel? Have you not heard of it, like things called boats and stuff like that? You know, I mean, really, you know, don't be pushing this kind of crack, you know. But because Anthony was so involved with Munster, and I don't really like spotlight at all, to be honest, and I like to just tip along and do my own stuff, and see where the boundaries lie, if there are any. It just I think I have very much a goal related in my head, that let's see where it goes and let's see what happens, and you know, we'll just look at the next one. And in a sense, I suppose I feel my parents did that for us. They kind of pushed those boundaries for us, and I just feel like for myself I want to do it. But I also have a daughter, 2 sons, and I teach in St. Anne's Community College here in Killaloo, and I suppose I want to see what I can do, and I'm hoping, and you can see that people and students and past students of mine and players that I've been with, they're now pushing the boundaries, and there's nothing prouder than you thinking, well, you know, maybe I had a hand in that, or maybe, you know, we're pushing that a little bit more, that, you know, another generation, and that it would improve all the time, and that we will get to a stage in this country where, you know, male, female, whatever your sexual orientation, whatever it is, if you have an ability or a disability, that we will get to the stage that we'll all be treated the same and afforded, you know, the same financial, you know, if you want, value for money sometimes.
Yeah, well, no, I think you're right, and I think we can hope that we move forward. But you yourself, you definitely were involved in breaking down those barriers for women in sport, Rosie. I know you don't like the limelight, but it's nice for you to,
No.
I know you don't, but swimming the English Channel, I mean, what was it like when you finished it? Were you, I can't even swim, so this, this to me is amazing.
I'll teach you, Valerie.
Yeah.
We'll get you down to the Limerick Masters and we'll get you swimming. What was it like? I just give you a tiny build up to it. So I've been there are certain things you have to do. So you have to do a 6-hour swim. You have to obviously have your medical done. You also have to employ a pilot and a boat over there as well. So the only people that knew were my husband, Pat, and my two best friends, Andrea Newport and Fanula Walsh. I told my family, I think about a day or so beforehand, because didn't want any build-up. And we just wanted to go over and do our thing. But to actually get the opportunity to swim, I remember you get on the boat, you have an observer there. So his name is John Thorpe, and there's 2 different organizations over there that ratify your swim. You just don't get in and swim. It all has to be ratified. So you wear a hat, goggles, swimming togs. So he checks that all that's right. They took me to Shakespeare's Beach. So you get off the boat, swim in, exit the water, and then your swim starts to France when you enter the water again. And start making your way to France. But I also knew that the Irish women's rugby team were going to be flying into France on the Sunday. I was swimming on the Saturday. So kind of in my head, I was going, yeah, I'm going to get to France now before the girls get to France for the World Cup. And then it was a beautiful day. The weather was fantastic. The White Cliffs of Dover are behind you. How lucky are you to be swimming and be able to have a good old crack at living your dream, when loads of people don't ever get that opportunity. So there was all those kind of things going through my head. I remember at one stage, after 4 hours swimming, somebody can get in behind you to the side of you to swim for an hour with you, but they can't touch you. The rules are very, very strict. You can't be touched. You can't touch the boat. Any of your food or drink are dropped down to you. You take them while you're treading water, and you keep going. But I remember at one stage, my husband came in to swim for an hour, and I remember thinking, oh my God, our 3 kids are at home in Killaloo. Anthony and Olive are minding them. My parents are minding them. Jesus, what would happen now if, here we are in the middle of the English Channel swimming along, like, how mad is that to actually think like that? But we had lost Ben Kickers, a 16-year-old student, to cancer that year as well. So he was on my mind. One of our colleagues, Joe McDonald, had passed away quite suddenly from cancer. So they all kind of go to, into your mind. I'd gone up the English Channel on the Asgard when I was 16, so I knew what it was like, as busy shipping lane, all that kind of stuff. But God, it's a brilliant privilege to be able to really have a good go at your dreams and actually get to the other side. And we got to the other side at about, I think it was about 20 to 12 that night. So I knew I had won the race with the Irish women's team to get across to France before them. But, it's fantastic. And I mean, that was one of my dreams and goals. But people have different ones as well, and I mean, I encourage people to have a go at things, no matter how small it may seem to them. It's those stepping stones that, help you live your life and live your best life, and I suppose be the best person and version of you as you can possibly be, because as we all know well, and of course we know, and after this pandemic, the whole world has realized, like, we're only in this for a short time, so why not have a good time doing it, and really have a go and have no regrets when you look back at your life and say, well, I was the best version of me I could possibly be. And, I hope I've encouraged other people to go on and have a go as well, and that there are barriers there, but sometimes you just really just have to just break them down and just keep having a go and supporting each other in whatever our goals or dreams are. So I suppose there's a lot of that kind of goes on, in your head or in my head as well. I know we're only here for a short while, so, let's try and make it positive for everybody involved as much as possible,
Yeah, some wise words. I feel very encouraged to go in now and learn how to swim, Rosie.
No, Valerie, I'm telling you.
I don't know if I'll be doing the English Channel anytime soon, but maybe give me some armbands and I could give it a go, I'd say. Rosie, I know you...
No fear, yeah.
Yeah, there's no fear. There will be, yeah, I'd say. But Rosie, you've had such an amazing, the swimming and the rugby, and now you're still part of something that can make a difference, which is the RFU Women's Rugby Committee. I mean, can you tell us a bit about your involvement in that and maybe what you're doing with them?
I suppose, again, my reasoning behind lots of things, Valerie, is you can't be on the outside throwing stones at stuff all the time. And I suppose it's easy to stand on the outside and kind of say, oh, we should be doing this or we could be doing that. Or I suppose that's the way I've kind of in my head evolved around to it. So with the Women's Committee, it really is about trying to make sure that those structures are there. And I think because of the way things have worked out this year for our women's rugby team. Now, personally, myself, with the 15-a-side game, I personally feel that we need to be semi-pro or pro. We have to be. We're going to be left behind. I know we shouldn't always be comparing ourselves to, we'll say, men's rugby or that, but the fact of the matter is, if you look back on the Six Nations in the last number of years, England have, 14 titles. France have the other 6 or 7 or whatever, but Ireland have 2. And in my mind, I know we're good enough. I know if the structures are put in place and that we can give financial help, either in a semi-pro setting or professional setting, that we certainly have the players here and now that can drive it on. I'm fearful that if we don't drive on with what we have, and we have a pretty good cohort of female rugby players at the moment. I mean, they're very exciting. It is very exciting to watch them. I just really, my heart and soul, just give them a chance. The World Cup is coming up. The women's 15 aside, that World Rugby competition is also coming up. I mean, it can be like what France do and have done from time to time is, that they take their women's rugby and they say, look, for these 3 months, we're paying you X, Y, and Z, and you're training with us in Marcoussis or whatever it is. Like, why can't we do something? I'm not saying do that, but do something similar. Like, we've got a good age profile. There's a really good mix there. The sevens are in the mix at the moment because of the pandemic and that, but I really feel we need to really drive this on. I heard Adam Griggs talking about, who's in charge of the women's 15-a-side game. We're on a call later with Anthony Eddy. I'm sure all that will be sorted out, but I really would like to see that pathway really, really solidified. And that we really give these girls a real fighting chance when it comes to a World Cup, when it comes to competing in worldwide tournaments against teams and that. And I know you can see that I'm really passionate about it. So I suppose that's the way I look at it. With the Women's Committee, that's I suppose what we're trying to do, trying to push that all the time, trying to see, can we get some answers at times. And here in Killaloo, I'm president of the rugby club here in Killaloo as well. It's the same thing. Can we encourage people to be the best version of themselves? And maybe we have a few more of the baby and Parsons running around here that we could send up along as well. So yeah, it's that. It's trying to give a voice to it. And there are times that maybe you feel that it could be faster. And I just find that I do get very impatient with all that, you know, the red tape that sometimes comes with it, when I know in my heart and soul that really, if you can really give these girls any sort, they have good support, but if you can give them more support, you know, the sky's the limit. We've shown it in the past, you know, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, look, we're lucky to have you, and we're lucky to have you rooting for women's sport, because without people like yourself, we'd be left behind. Well, Rosie, it was great chatting to you. Legend Rosie Foley did join me today. The series is brought to you in association with Guinness. They are a proud partner of the Irish rugby team.
OTB Sports.
In association with Guinness, drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Six Nations show on OTB Sports.
In association with Guinness, #NeverSettle. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.